Hey guys, it's Angel. Welcome back to the channel. And today we're going to do something really stupid with the Piper Tomahawk, because it's what you've come to know and love from me. But we are also going to take a look at Just Flight's Tomahawk brought officially into Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. Now this is not a native update. They've released updates for their Piper PA-38 series of aircraft. So the Warrior, the Arrow 3, the Turbo Arrow 4, and the Tomahawk. Now, their own update email says, and I think it's an intended wording issue here that's not there. This was not deliberate, I believe. But it says, major new update available for the Tomahawk, providing an MSFS 2024 native package, additional model LODs for improved performance, and the latest version of our EFB, and numerous enhancements and fixes. Yes, there is a 2024 package included in the download now from their website or wherever you bought the aircraft from. There is now a 2020 version and a 2024 version. The 2024 version is fully updated and it's a native package, but the model itself is not native. No, the model of the aircraft itself is still 2020 native, but it is officially updated to be fully compatible with 2024. So not actually native. There's a small nuance there. I think it was just a wording mishap. I don't believe it was misleading. Just a mishap. That's my take on it, at least. I'm not being paid for this, and I bought all these myself, by the way. But Just Flight haven't been like that in the past, so I would assume it's just a poor choice of words. Now, we're going to have to talk to the aircraft as we're flying today, but we're going to be taking the new version of it, 424, up for a spin, and we're going to go do something very stupid. We're taking this from a 5,000-foot airport, which is Megève here in France, Lima Fox and Mike, Hotel Mike. We're flying past Mont Blanc, towards Montfort, into Switzerland, where we're going to be landing, hopefully, if we succeed, at Alteport Les Quadriqueurs, which is a 7.1 thousand foot high Alpine airport, grass in the actual Alps, 2,100 meters MSL, in a Tomahawk. This could go terribly, so I'm down. Anyway, less about that. And as I said, isn't actually native because none of the external clickable features are here. I'd love to see those in the Just Flight aircraft, of course. That'd be wonderful. But we do, of course, at least get to have our pilot work properly, you know, in and out of the aircraft. And we do get to actually see our pilot here in the aircraft, of course, when that's functioning. So it's got the actual player figures, but it's not the actual native part. So, right, let's go make sure we have everything set as we need to be here. So we'll take off our chocks and tie downs, which is still the same system they use already. So we can take those on and off. We'll put those on again just so you can see them. There's all our bits and bobs. Nice and easy. This is the new updated version, of course, of the EFB here. We have our versions of status there. We can have regular radios in here. We can even have a GPS. So we'll put a GPS in for this one just to make our life a little bit simpler for this flight. And it has actually got our track on there. Fantastic. We can turn off our yokes. We can open the doors. And we can even have some charts out here, including our procedures, which is useful. How do I... Ah, very nice. That's useful. Not that it does much, but still. Either way, we'll go through our startup in a second to get this plane going here today. Basically, grab a cup of tea. Grab a cup of coffee, have something you like here, and we'll go for a nice little flight up into the Alps today. That's the wrong thing to click. That's the right thing to click. There's the lock. Undo the lock there. Pull the door closed first, of course. Unlatch it. And make sure the door locks are actually in secure place. Fantastic. Make sure it's latched, otherwise things go bang. Okay, so this aircraft realistically would not have an autopilot, but it gives us a basic rudimentary one here in EFB, altitude, heading, nav hold, and master, which is a nice convenience factor, admittedly. So we're squawking 7,000 for this. Let's make sure that's set up beforehand. So our standard European VFR code. We'll have that as a standby. Otherwise, of course, if we go back to here, we've got our... whatever that thing is for sim brief. Yes, I don't really do sim briefs, so that would be why. Let's go back to here. We have moving map options for the area, including, rather nicely, topographic maps, which is quite useful. The aircraft's options, as you saw before. And TOD calculators, settings, etc, etc. Wonderful, fantastic. Oh, we have themes. You know what? To protect my eyes, we'll go for the blue. Nice. Okay. We haven't got Navigraph engaged, so that's okay. Right. Cockpit pre-flight. So control wheel is released from restraints. It is indeed. Our controls are free and clear. That's fine. Ignition is off. Make sure everything is fully switched off in the aircraft here. There we go. Everything completely off. As we should be. Okay. Master switch on. There's battery on. Fuel quantity gauge check. Fuel gauge is looking good there. There's a full. Okay, there's a checked. Alternator warning is going to be correct. Okay. Master switch to off. Master switch to off. Private flight controls, proper orientate operation. They were. We already did that, so that's one secured. We'll go down to flaps for operation, which, as they are manual, should be a fairly simple matter of. Both notches are good to go there. So, flap lever here. Everything's sorted. I love the sounds of this aircraft. They really are that hollow sound you get from the aircraft itself. Static drain, well, that's fine. Windows check clean, yes. Baggage stowed properly. Papers and parking brake set to on. It is in fact set to on. Fan dabby dozy. Let's go on to our pre-flight checklist left. So we're not going to do those. Those are the actual externals. We don't need to worry about those. Before start engine. So cabin doors closed latch, they are. Overhead latch engaged. Seats adjusted and locked. Seat belts and harnesses fastened. Circuit breakers are all in. They are in fact all in. As we would want to do here. And parking brake is set. We know that one. Car seats to full off. Fuel selectors to desired tank. I'm going to go to left for now. Okay, so engine starting. So prime is required. Throttle, quarter inch open. Make sure those are all set as they should be. Master to on. Fuel pumping to on. So we'll do all this now. Master battery to on. Okay. Fuel pumping is there. I don't actually remember where the primer is in a Tomahawk. It's right here. Give it 3 pumps of the primer. Listen to that pump trying to labour. Oh, it's lovely. Prime, throttle, master switch, electric fuel pumps on, mixture full rich. It is. Started to engage. Okay, we have a good start. Fan dabby dozy. Yep, that's fine. Let's check our RPMs good here. We'll turn the pump off there. Okie dokie. Wonderful. And we'll go through those in a second now. Check all our numbers. And those are fine to go for now. Engine starts. Those are not the ones we need to worry about. The different conditions. One between 800 to 1200. So we'll make sure it's about 12. So we'll drop it down a notch here. That's where it wants to be. Into our warm-up range for the engine. Keep a quick eye on our gauges. Everything's looking into the green or into the right area. All pressure's looking good. And one of the things with the Just Flight aircraft is their systems do function properly and well. And gives exactly what we need. So radios, brakes, parking area, steering, check. Ground check. Okay, yep, all these things will be just fine for what we want to do. Yep, usual stuff to check. Okay. We can skip all those are the ones we know about now. If you want to turn this off and on, by the way, it's the music switch there. High and low. Yeah. We can just completely turn that off if we want to, or we can have it on. Now, for now, I will turn it off for the time being, but we're going to get ourselves taxied out here. Like I said, we're at McGev, and we're heading off into the Alps, which might be very dumb, but it is meaning I'm going to have to set the mixture down here for takeoff, because we are taking off at 5,000 feet, as you can see. Or just about 5,000 feet, which means it's going to be a little bit on the saucy side. But we have got a downhill runway that should help us. Very underpowered for this, and we have to get to 7,000 feet, which should be doable. But there's some things called the Alps in the way, including Mont Blanc, which is over there. And in case you were curious, I have 2024 right now absolutely maxed out. So we're going to have a really pretty journey today. I've managed to optimize it through my NVIDIA settings, and I'm running on absolutely everything. The full beans. I've never seen a sim look quite as pretty. Let's do a stupid thing. Okay, rolling, speed's alive. Definitely more takeoff distance at this altitude, but we're gaining speed just fine. Okay. A little bit of trim here just to hold the nose. I'll pull the flaps in. The nose moves as it should do on the Tomahawk. Okay. Bring ourselves back to about 2250 on our throttle there for the RPM. Now, clearly we ain't going over that, so we're going to have to go round a little bit, so it's going to be our goal to not make this terrible. In fact, you know what, I actually will put the tablet on because I want to see the maps there. Magnifique. Okay. Not going to get over that, so we'll just give it a second here. And I have to say, it is for a little aircraft, a trainer, that was, of course, the counterpart to Cessna's 150, 152. It's a very pretty aircraft, the Tomahawk. I do quite like them. It certainly is very gorgeous. It's got its own unique style, even if it has its own intricacies of behaviour. But look at how close those mountains are from the distance there. Look at that. Look at the sharp relief we're getting from the distance. Stunning. Scenery density is gorgeous. We're up to 400 on the two scenery density sliders. Everything else is larger and ultra. Very pretty. The ground textures are a lot sharper than they have been in the past with this. Now, if you're curious, if you use an NVIDIA GPU like I do, you can do that through their graphics tab on there. I've shown you in previous videos. It'll allow you to actually optimize based on your hardware, and it'll set it as it best it can do. And I've found it's given me the best flight sim kind of performance I've actually ever had for 24. Better than any other settings options I can find. So, in terms of the same aircraft as being in 2024, it is... How do I get rid of this? Oh, it's on the aircraft page, isn't it? There we go. Now, Mont Blanc should be right here to our side. That should be her over there. That will be Mont Blanc, I believe. And we are on course here for our track. About 18 knots across the ground. Look at that view. Mon Dieu. When the sim is beautiful, it is absolutely breathtaking. Look at that. Holy granola. When this sim looks good, it looks stunning. I should be in the third person view so I can at least control the plane rather than drone view. You know, it's one advantage to low and slow aircraft like the Tomahawk. You get to really enjoy the ride. You really do. Now, I've never flown to this airport we're heading to, so this will be my first time actually heading there. And I want to turn my head tracking off for a second whilst I pull up my details here. So we're heading to Lima Sierra Victor Echo. I'll put it in the description as always. Altiport Quadico. It's next to Montfort. It's 7,087 feet, 2,160 meters MSL. So it's going to be quite an elevation change for us. We're about 6,200 right now, so I'm going to try and get a little bit higher. A little gentle climb right now. No need to rush this. But it should get us above a lot of the damage if we can get to about 7. And it's near the town of Verbier. The Swiss town / ski resort. So we should be okay here. Flaps, of course, are in. So we should lean off as we go up, of course. It's one of those aircraft where you kind of got to listen to the engine sound as you're leaning it. Oh, why is that gone off? Oh, my alternator's not on. That's it, the alternator light was on. That'd be why I wasn't getting a result there. That would do it. I hadn't realised my transponder was off. And why the alternator light was lit. I'd actually run that down. So, thankfully that's working now. Although why these are working regardless is another matter. Okay. Look at this. Just breathtaking scenery. This is why I really love flying around the Alps, whether it's the Italian, Swiss or French Alps, Austrian Alps. It's breathtakingly pretty up here. The little towns in the valleys and just the mountains towering around them. It really is the majesty of, you know, human and natural interaction. Okay, about 15 minutes or so from our destination. We'll let our nose down a smidgen here because we should be able to climb reasonably to clear all terrain. Shouldn't be a major problem. We could divert slightly left here to cross this ridge, but I think we'll be okay. Trying to at least build my speed a tad higher than 83 knots, but not going to get much more, admittedly. It is, after all, a Tomahawk. Of course, our best angle of climb is about 61 knots, but I don't need that. Best rate is about 70. I'm not really looking for either, so I'm just going to let ourselves... we're about 70 on indicators, so we're bang on for the best rate. About 300-400 feet a minute right now. Of course, we've got some wind behind us, giving us a bit of extra ground speed. Now, our final approach speed at flaps 40 is 67 knots. Will I be doing flaps 40 at 7,000 feet? Probably not. We'll have to see. You know, we'll not be flying that slow. So we'll have to see what happens with this. It's going to be a challenge, though. I've never landed this at altitude. That was my first ever takeoff at altitude. I have flown the Tomahawk in Switzerland before, though. Those you might remember, the last time I brought her out was from northern part of Switzerland, and we flew down to Meiringen and to Interlaken. I think it was, yeah. Down to Interlaken. So we could definitely face some... uh-oh. I don't like this. Going this way, because of my one way out of this, because this is all getting higher around me. And I have to contend with a very low powered engine in this aircraft. Trim myself for best rate to make sure we're okay. Looking good. Gotta be careful around this stuff because I will run out of airspeed and ability to fly this plane other than hit into a rock very quickly. We do not have the power to get out of trouble. Okay. We're slowing down a bit, but we're doing okay. We'll clear this, no problem. We're going to nudge ourselves forward a little bit on the power. 24 and a half. That's a tiny little hut up there. I don't think that's meant to be there. I think that's Autogen's fault, but it's quite adorable to see it either way. Although it might be, you never know. There are watchtowers and things in these places, but I don't think that's there. Okay, so we should be good for this. The run ahead of us should be just fine. But we need to go around that. That's not going to happen. We center this on the aircraft. Actually, I don't know how to get that to center on the aircraft, because it doesn't seem to want to. Oh no, we are there. Chamonix Mont Blanc, right below us. So Chamonix Mont Blanc down there. Ski stuff up here. Yeah, is that his Mont Blanc up here? You're blue in the shadow there. Gorgeous, though. Look at that. Absolutely beautiful. I'm going to be oogling the scenery during this flight. I warn you ahead of time. Okay. So that's our turn there. So the Swiss border is about here. So we're flying towards the Swiss border now. As we cross that pink line, that'll be us on the border. And our destination's about there. So we're not super far away. But it gives us a good excuse to fly this gorgeous plane. And yes, it's a low-powered little turd. But it's an incredibly well-made little turd. And honestly, sometimes the least powerful aircraft are the most fun. For very reasons like this. Now, anyone curious as to why I'll occasionally change tanks like that in an aircraft that only has left or right settings, it's because uneven fuel burn means I might end up with less fuel in my right tank than my left. Why is that a problem? It'll affect the lateral stability of the aircraft. What does that do? Well, it makes flight handling much more awkward. Okay. So our altitude's okay for now. We should be able to go around this on our right. And we are dealing with environment that is outstripping this aircraft by a major metrics. Everything on the aircraft looking good still in terms of... Uh-oh. Fuel pressure's good, oil pressure's decent, oil temperature's a little bit warm. I'd love to run the engine a bit calmer, but I do need the power. Although, I think I can knock it back a few notches here. Take the edge off it. Fastest plus. Oh, it's loading things. Never mind. Okay, approaching the border just down this valley. Look at that. Yeah, this is the stuff you miss when you're flying airliners. 40,000 feet in a 737 or a 747, and you don't get to see any of this. You might go past that or that beast over the top of it, but it's nothing like passing by amongst them, realizing your plane will not clear this terrain. You are 100% limited to these valleys to comply with nature, not try to beat it. Okay. Oil temp's okay for now. I don't think I have any oil coolers on this aircraft, unfortunately. No. I think we're much operating on less power equals cooler oil. And I can't really afford to do that right now. I'll nudge it back a smidge. Be a bit more gentle with her. Okay, we're good on altitude at the moment. And we're under 10 minutes away. And Swiss border's just past this ridge. That puts us in French-speaking Switzerland. And look at that stunner over there. Look at that piece of human engineering. That's a massive hydro dam. Up a mountain. America, take note. Hydro dam. Up a frickin' Alp. Yeah. They know how to build stuff over here. There's a hydroelectric dam up a mountainside. Whew. That'll do the job. Okie dokie. Crossing the border into Switzerland as we cross this second part of the ridge. And we'll head to our final destination, which is more this way. Looks like Montfort is a little bit shallower, so we should be okay. Yep, here we are on the border to Switzerland. Look at this rocks. Really gorgeous. God. Just look at the distance of getting in terms of draw. That's fantastic. Honestly, the reason I'm going on about it so much is I'm surprised. Because for the longest time I had my sim behaving kind of, it was alright, but it was a little on the potato side. It wasn't quite doing it at distance, which flying in the mountains a lot like I do, it put me off places like the Alps because they got a bit squishy. Now the Alps are stunning. With a capital S. Okay, dokey. So of course the aircraft we got from them for 2024 as well, including like I said the Arrow 3 and 4, the Arrow, the Turbo, we've got the the Turbo Arrow 3 and 4, the Arrow 3, the Warrior 2, the RJ, the F-28, which I already have installed, the Hawk T1, and this, which is super cool to see that operating. But we do have, of course, the fully functioning in here, electricals, the engine system, the flight fuel systems are all modelled in this aircraft, even the vacuum system. So you have got all those functioning systems that you want in a simple but detailed aircraft that really gives you all the functions. And of course the manual has everything you need, from engine failure procedures, power of landings, fires, oil pressure, alternator flight issues, failure issues, spin recovery techniques, everything you'd want. And spin recovery is where the tail on this thing starts flapping, one of the Tomahawk's worst behaviours. Opposite direction of rotation, full forward, ailerons neutral, throttle off, throttle on, flaps in. It's kind of a classic spin recovery, but this thing will flap its tail as it loses the airflow. Because one of the downsides of T-tails like this on lower powered aircraft, often, especially prop aircraft, is the Arrow 4 does it too, and another aircraft that have this, but at low speeds you could lose authority over that tail very easily because it's out of the prop wash, which is one of its best ways of getting airflow at low speeds, is when it's in the prop wash. So the 3 is more authority than the 4 in the Arrows. On this one, the same thing happens, and it could wag this tail because once this gets into rough air and dirty air and starts to stall along the leading edge, it'll start to basically buff it, and you'll actually wag the tail on this plane. That's Vermeer to our nose there on right. So we're turning into it now. Verbier, sorry. Verbier. Our airport should be about here, by the way. In fact, let's pop up this bad boy and take a quick look at the map so I can show you. Our airport is going to be here. So there's the town, which is that thing. Our airport is about to be up here, on the ridge line, and it's right on the edge of the ridge. 7,000 feet. I'm not landing that way, I'm landing this way, because this doesn't know what it's talking about. But it's about to get saucy for us, at least. Although we're a little bit higher altitude than we need to be, so we can bring this down a smidge, so bring the power back, which should help bring our oil temps down. Drop our nose, and lose 1,000 feet or so. I want to arrive here about 8, so I've got some visibility. So we know what we're doing and where. Actually, not a very complicated flight, but certainly a beautiful one either way. 3 minutes away now. Imagining it's about here, based on my guesstimation. And the angle of our track there. And what is this down to our front? Volier? Is that the Volier? My French is not so good. I do not speak the French. It's not good at all. Verbier? I think that is Montagne, Brousson, Champferret, Pointe de Champferret. I'll choose to read Pointe de Champferret to mean Point of the Champion Ferret, which is not what it means, but I'm choosing to think it means Point of the Champion Ferret, because that's much funnier. Okay. That's our point there in the valley. So it'll be right here. Look at this. Gorgeous. Up here amongst the cloud, trying to take our Tomahawk bush flying. This is optimistic. I'll get rid of the tablet there, we don't need that anymore. For the science. Oh, yeah. I can't open it fully because of the wind. Lock those. Ooh. It's windy. I could really do that. It's very hot in my office right now. Okay. A little bit more juice here. Now, oil temp's still on the warm side. Even though we've had the throttle off for a while. No, we'll stay there. No, they're in the range. They're okay. Right, let's work out where this strip is. That looks like that might be it, and that scares me. This could be an interesting approach. This could be an interesting landing. Yeah, that's it there. Sloping here on the grass, right there. This is going to be interesting at 7,000 feet. I think I'll need all 40 degrees of flaps. But the thing is, if I have flaps 40, I'm not able to go around. In fact, I'm not even sure I can go around with the power I have in this aircraft at this altitude. I'm going to have to get this right first time. Which means I need a proper recce pass here. Because I will not be able to afford a second crack. This has not got the power to do so. Either it's on that ridgeline up ahead of us and we're okay, or it's on this leading slope, and we are so not. I'm struggling. I thought I had it positioned in my eye, but I don't. Is that it? That doesn't look like it. Unless it's on this side of the hill. We're coming up on it still, so this might be on the other side here. Okay, I was wrong. It's the other side. No, there it is. Okay, yeah. Ah, and it's sloping the other direction. So we have to come around. Okay. Okay, so if we have to go around, we've got the clear ridgeline here. We can actually clear over that, so we should be alright. As long as we've got enough juice to clear the ridgeline. Okay, that's much more manageable, I think. I was horrified with those lower slopes. Let's try this, shall we? Okay. So, 1-notch flaps. Mixture's right for about 7,000 feet. And of course, one thing was you might put your mixture back as descending to land or taking off. At sea level, you're going to want to keep that mixture with what you need for maximum power at altitude. And I also have to take a wider turn here to be able to do it without stalling the aircraft because the air is much thinner. So we'll bring her this side. And then we'll turn around. We've got 500-600 feet above the strip, we should be okay. Airfield in sight. Base turn. Flaps full. Oh, this is some big altitude flying for a Tomahawk. Okay, rolling her in final-ish. Okay, keep this altitude. About 100 feet above the runway. No. It's going to be interesting either way. Okay, we're slow. We need to be faster. Slope will slow us down. Okay. Okay, nose it down here. We'll let it build speed as we come over. Tomahawk landing at 7,000 feet on a sloped Alpine runway that is grass in the Swiss Alps. Oh, if I don't know if I'm getting out of this if I can't land it. Nailed it. Flap, power brakes on, flaps up. Ah, sehr good. Perfect. I will take that. And this will do as a parking spot right here. Whew. That was... Oh, you can stop now. Thank you. Yeah, you can stop now. Whew. Okay. 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 Oh, that was energetic. I'll give it that. Not a lot of power in this aircraft to go around in a situation like this, but it certainly makes it for an interesting experience. Hop down. And what a beautiful spot to stop for lunch in our little Tomahawk. We've got a beautiful little lake, a little pond, little Alpine pond up here. It's the little things in 24 that make the whole sim for me. It's little things like that, even though it's just randomly generated. Your chateau up there. Which is awkward because that's right in the kind of go around path. I want to see if I can get to an angle here where we can look down into the valley. Look at this scenery. Going out on foot like this is the big part of 24. At least to me. Because whilst it's, sure, an ancillary little feature, it's such an immersion adder. To be able to go somewhere to land and to walk off somewhere to go take a look at the scenery. At the edge of the slope here, we can look down. And look at that. There's the start of our runway. I think we're about halfway up it, but it's that's quite a grade. And it was kind of hard to see. We had that tabletop here. So is Just Flight's Tomahawk good in 2024? Absolutely. It's just as good as it was in 2020, and I thought it was excellent in 2020. It isn't native, but it's a fantastic update to make it fully functional in 2020. 4 even. And that's great by me. And I'd like to see what they've put in otherwise. I'm looking forward to seeing the rest of the aircraft they're bringing in and the future plans they have, because the standard of aircraft they brought for general aviation to 2020 was phenomenal. Now we have them all in 2024. The world is one's oyster. And don't go bush flying in Tomahawks at high altitude. It will give you trauma. God, that's so pretty. Thanks for watching. Bye.